Hello again, Mr. RNG Stuff here. Now, you may remember from a previous video that I had this soundbox here. I thought it was a Thorens soundbox. To be honest, I'm not sure. And I dismantled it, and I've been cleaning it up, and I've sort of taken it down to the metal. It's quite a nice metal actually. I think it's some sort of maybe zinc alloy or something. Certainly not brass. Okay, well, I've been cleaning up this soundbox for a while now, and I've been cleaning mainly on the inside because that's where the remains of the paper was, and the rock solid gaskets. And the more I clean, the more of this sort of yellowish sort of material, yellowish metal that I see underneath. And it's not brass. The back actually, this bit here is brass. It's got that very distinctive sort of yellowish colour to it. The colour that I'm seeing on the inside, and for that matter, I'm also seeing it sort of here, and there are a few little patches of it on the back. That's a sort of much lighter colour, much less yellow. And I'm really not sure actually what the metal is, but it could be some sort of spelter or pewter, something maybe with zinc or lead or copper, those sort of materials that make sort of heavy, cheap, easily castable alloys. And that would be ideal for something like this. I mean, quite often those sorts of things are referred to as pot metal. I'll let you look up the exact definitions of pot metal, spelter and pewter if you care to. There seems to be some overlap, but I suspect there's a lot more to it than I'm saying. But anyway, I've been wondering really what to do with the outside. I mean, initially I thought there was actually maybe even like a blue colouring, this little mark there that sort of looks a bit bluish. Did wonder whether it might clean up to show sort of a blueness, but I don't think it will do. And I made a new diaphragm on the lathe, and what I've done here is I've just worked out where the centre is and drilled a little hole, and I've also found a little screw that fits it, because the one that I took out is just too short because the diaphragm is thicker. And I've got some of this neoprene, this black foam neoprene in there. You may remember from a previous video that I bought lots of different material to try to use for gaskets. I mean, this stuff here I did think about using. This is the red sort of latex stuff. But I think what I'm going to do is use the neoprene on the bottom and use some of this silicone tubing. This is 3mm silicone tubing. Use that on the top, and essentially what I need to do is sort of attach these together. Now this screw isn't really the right size screw, but it's fairly close. Once it's waxed into position, will be just fine, but it basically doesn't screw on properly. It sort of more slips on. Just drop that in. That was never going to work, was it? Let's try that again. So I can't say I'm 100% satisfied with that. The diaphragm does seem to be pushed a bit too much towards here, but I'm sure with a little bit of adjustment it's going to be okay. And then it's just a case of feeding this rubber in, really, and this is just sort of like a test fit. In fact, slide it under there first. something like that. So that should give me a good indication of where to cut the rubber. And I've also replaced the needle screw with this 9BA one here. And if I you know, rub the needle screw, you're getting that sort of raspy noise, which is very much the right sort of noise for a sound box. So I'm gonna have a go at adjusting the needle bar a bit to see if I can get the diaphragm centered a bit better, but otherwise that's essentially it. So it's just a case of cutting the rubber and waxing it, and then sorting the back out using this piece of plastic here. This is an adapter that will go from, well, it's not quite the right fitting. I'm going to have to put tape or something around it, go on there, and that comes out to the right size for the gramophone I'm going to test it on. At some point I'll probably take this bit off and replace it with a better fitting, but to be honest I don't really know what I want to fit this to just yet. So until I do, I think I'm going to leave it just the way it is. Okay, well, I've got the diaphragm a lot more central. Basically I had to tweak the needle bar with some pliers. So it's basically, instead of coming straight down here, it's going that direction slightly. It's more of a Z than a sort of straight bit there. So not ideal, but that's because I put the hole in the middle of the diaphragm rather than dropping the diaphragm into position and then working out where the hole could go. And to be honest, I think putting the hole in the diaphragm first was the right thing to do. So anyway, just going to put the rubber tubing back in and cut that to size. Well, it's been a while since I've worked on this sound box, and to be honest it's because I wasn't happy with the replacement screw that I'd found to attach the needle bar to the centre of the diaphragm, because the diaphragm's a bit bigger or a bit thicker and the original screw wouldn't fit. So I've made this this 12BA screw here, which is certainly the smallest screw I've ever made. So just to demonstrate that that works, basically it screws in just fine. It's plenty long enough and it's a good fit. The screw threads clearly engage properly with the original threaded hole, so I'm pretty sure that is the right size. Well, I've decided to wax the screw to the diaphragm before fitting it into the sound box. This should be okay because the needle bar has already been adjusted so that the diaphragm sits centrally. I do need to be very careful because the diaphragm is made out of plastic and will melt if I let it get too hot. Well, that wasn't quite as successful as I'd hoped. Let's have another go. Okay, well I've still obviously used too much wax. but that's looking a lot better. It does help that it's quite warm in the workshop at the minute. It's probably at least 26 degrees Celsius. So the wax actually is quite soft. Well, it's not brilliant, but it'll probably do. Right, well, it's a bit messy here, but I've been rushing to finish this soundbox because I've wanted to get off the bench so I can get onto other things. So I've got the gasket in, and it's looking pretty good actually. I've had to do a bit more tweaking with the needle bar to get it to all sit properly. Main issue really is that the needle bar, or more importantly the needle holder, wasn't lining up very well with the body of the soundbox, and it's not perfect, but it's certainly better than it was, and I think it'll do. So we'll go with that. The other thing that you might be able to see that I've done is I've put on a ring isolator, and that's made out of foam plastic and tape, and it also very conveniently allows me to fit this adapter here. Now this is a 3D printed part I made for another type of soundbox, I think probably the Tono Fox, I forget now actually, and the tube on the back of here has a smaller diameter than the Tono Fox, so that allows me to put on an isolator ring. And on this I've also drilled and tapped a hole and put a little brass screw in there. I've turned down the bottom of the screw so it has a, hopefully you can just see there, has a little point, much like on a H&V or Victor soundbox. So that's basically the little peg that travels in the groove on the tone arm to lock it into place. So if I put this on the back now, it's quite a tight fit, but there's still enough movement to allow me to adjust the angle, and you can see there that's now all ready to go onto the gramophone for a quick test.
I'm trying, but no use denying, you're the one I'm flying for. If you would be the only one for me, then I would be the only one for you. You've got me so, don't you know, can you guess? I'll hang around till you're bound to say yes. If you would love me truly, then I would love you truly, If you would only be the only one for me, I'd be the only one for you. I found that this eastern land of paradise, the deeds fell up to the realm of Shanghai, a longing for you, for the day through. Shanghai, how could I know I'd miss you so? There in the land of Mimosa, someone with eyes.
Okay, well I thought that sounded pretty good considering that the record was from around 1925 or so, and it's probably acoustically recorded. I'm going to play out now with another record which I think is electrically recorded, and I've used in a recent video. And I'm also going to do some more videos using this soundbox, comparing with other soundboxes. Otherwise, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Snuggled on your shoulder, cuddled in your arms, dreaming while I'm dancing, thrilled by all your charms, while the music's playing, I'm in ecstasy. Sweetheart, hear me saying, oh, this is heavenly. Dancing while lights are low, what a grand sensation. Dancing, you ought to know, you're my inspiration. Let me dance forever, dream about your charms, snuggled on your shoulder, cuddled in your arms. What a grand sensation, dancing, you ought to know, you're my inspiration. The Hottentots have just played Snuggled on Your Shoulder.